I've made a lot of meso in the past. From season 1 to now, my brain has always been racking up ideas on get rich quick schemes and what's the best way to make mesos and stuff like that. And today, for this special video, I'm going to divulge into some of the ways that I did it. Now, this video is sort of a freeform thing, so I don't know how long this is going to be. And frankly, I'm just doing this for fun. And I just wanted to talk about it. So I did do a lot of things over the past 5+ years. Oh god, I played for that long. What is wrong with me? Jeez. But more or less, I'm going to talk about the main major way that I made Meso in past seasons of Road to Max Damage. And the reason why I'm comfortable talking about this is because these methods that I used, you can't do them anymore, so take that. So I'm a lot more comfortable sharing these methods now just simply because you can't replicate them. If I did share them, then, then that creates competition, and having a monopoly in the game is very, very nice, and there's nothing I really would do to take that away from me unless I really had to. Speaking of monopolies, that's my first tip, by the way. Throughout this video, I'm going to try to give some tips, but more or less, I'm just going to be telling you what I did. And I kind of want you to formulate your own ideas because that's not my job to think for you. But yeah, that's my first tip, is that if you can get into an area of the economy where you or like at most 5 other people control or supply the market, then you're golden. And that's basically what happened with Season 1. Season 1, first of all, this was when I first started getting myself funding seriously because I started the series and everything. But back then, as I did mention in the MesoGears guide that I released with Sam, Victor, James, and Carmen, and Rob, shout out to all of them for helping out with that guide. And if you haven't seen the new MesoGears guide, what are you doing? Go watch it. It's on how to pick a server. But I gotta go name a couple of other people instead, though. So I first of all want to shout out to my old guild, my first ever guild almost, I think. Macbeth. Shout out to Adam, Jen, Manny, and Kyle, my birthday buddy. If it wasn't for these people, I never would have believed that I could have done this funding thing and actually get to endgame. Something that you guys may not know because you guys are new players or you guys don't play the game anymore or stuff like that. But back in Season 1, we didn't have as many good things as the current Maple does. We didn't have a Meso market. We didn't have star forcing. Well, no, we did, but we didn't have 25 stars. We didn't have flames. So a lot of stuff was just worse off the bat. And getting NX was the biggest challenge because you had to do it off of a trust basis. And then there was a lot of gray areas in the terms of service about it and stuff. But yeah, I mean, I needed NX for funding, and that was basically the only way I could have thought about it. So I just built myself up socially, and well, it's just sort of like just be nice, but that you don't care about that. The main thing is to talk about the meso making. So the first season, and I never showed much of this except for one dedicated episode, and I was hoping someone would have caught it, but someone knew, and people who knew who I was, and if they checked out my shop in the FM, they knew what I did. I ran CWKPQ. And again, huge shout out to Macbeth, because they were the ones who showed me how to run that darn PQ. For those that don't know, CWKPQ is an expedition. Back then in MapleStory, you had all these expeditions of multiple parties taking on a boss. Zakum, Horntail, CWKPQ, those are like the 3 that I can name from the top of my head. So normally this PQ is done like up to, I don't know, 18 people or something like that. I can't remember exactly, but they showed me how to run this with just 5 people, or 6 rather, actually, which is insane. The CWKPQ was so broken that part of the entire experience was just sharing strats on how to speed run the PQ over and over again. And that's what me and the guild did. And eventually, we wanted to turn it into a business. And after they showed me, the strats and stuff, I refined it further and further down, and we maximized our runs because there was like a 24-hour time period that you could only run in between. So it's like if you run on 8 p.m., then you have to wait for 8 p.m. of the next day to run again. So we basically just split out the time throughout the week to maximize our runs. But well, what does CWKPQ have that's so good? Well, it's got spectrum goggles and smiling masks. Those are the big two items from the bosses at the end of the PQ. But in the bonus stages, there's also Swiss cheese, anvil items, towels, can jars, so many other things. The bosses also dropped a couple of things as well. So there was that. Actually, I went back into my Google Drive the other day, and I actually found the Google Doc that I used to mark down and log every single sale so we could split the profits across evenly. And looking back at the document, which I'm pretty sure I'm showing right now, you could see like it was a substantial amount of mesos back in the day, especially for someone that was just starting out and starting to get themselves funded. Like this, I had nothing back then, so it was the biggest kickstart to my funding journey, and that was like the thing in season 1 that made me a lot of mesos. Just keep in mind that the meso rate was probably like 10 to 1 at the time, so the NX rate was 1 to 100 if you wanted to go back to NX rates like back in the day. CWKPQ allowed me to hoard billions and billions and billions of mesos. That was my main big money maker. Also, Ode Me used the word processor for logging item sales. I guess the Ode Me was too dumb to even just know how to use spreadsheets, I guess. I spent a lot of time talking about this, just mainly because this was the quintessential meso making method that kickstarted me into funding myself. And that's why I decided to spend a lot of time talking about it. Overall, I'm very happy and thankful to my friends who showed me how to do this PQ, and eventually when they stopped playing, I started running it with my own guild, which was Reddit at the time, so I ran it with Carmen, Welly, and Mark, and those other guys, so they knew how far back was I making a ton of meso. So that was season 1. Moving on to season 2. Season 2, I was a lot more funded. I was in a different guild. I had a friend named Simon where we did basically everything together to make mesos. So that was a thing, is that you definitely need to have people to talk to about meso making and people that you can trust. And I guess I don't really trust a lot of people. It's just anxiety is a huge problem with me. But there was one person that I definitely could have trusted a lot, and that was Simon. He played a phantom. He was a prominent character in season 2 and beyond. Eventually Simon did quit, but I do see him on my stream occasionally from time to time, so hey Simon, how are you doing? Hopefully you're doing well. A quick blurb about Simon was, this was around the time when I started getting a bit of criticism about getting donations and stuff. One of the things Simon gave to me as a gift was a Battleroid, and I was really shocked when he gave it to me. He gave me a Battleroid F, and I really liked the male version of the Battleroids, and with the criticisms and stuff that I've received before about donations, I was like, okay, well, let's make this fair. At least let me do something about this instead of just getting the Battleroid just handed to me. It's in season 2, but I'll just summarize it. But I would highly recommend you to, watch the videos so you can look at the whole context and everything. But I basically just wanted a Battleroid M, and so what I did was that I used the Battleroid F and I traded it plus mesos, because back then males were more popular and more expensive, so I traded the Battleroid F plus 10 bill for the Battleroid M, and so I basically used the Battleroid that Simon gifted me as a discount to get my Battleroid that I wanted instead of just getting a Battleroid. So that was just sort of the stuff that was going in my mind. Anyways, the whole point of this background story with Simon was just to show like how good of friends we were and stuff like that, and we eventually started making mesos together. And talking about season 2, the single thing that propelled my meso making methods was the sparkling black star potion. Again, people who played back then in season 2 would have known about this, so it's not really a big secret. But it's not a method that's viable now because it doesn't work as well as before, ever since bosses switched to the medal system for equips like in CRA and Absol. Wait, did Lotus Damien have their coin system back then? I don't even remember. But mainly CRA. For those that don't know what the Sparkling Black Star Potion is and how do you get it, the Sparkling Black Star Potion is a hidden item that can be found in Frederic Leblanc's shop in Rue d'Abyss. Whenever Frederic spawns after you kill a boss, you have a small chance of the Sparkling Black Star Potion that shows up. But basically what it did was that it made items that drop have a chance to be unique. And this was a 2-hour long potion. So what me and Simon did, because none of us were strong enough to solo at the time, was that we would do the whole boss weekly gauntlet within the span of one Sparkling Black Star Potion. And we would try to get as many uniques as possible. This is why some of my mules have a whole inventory of random unique items that are worthless, because these were from the Sparkling Black Star runs. And the main selling point of the potion wasn't the potion itself, but rather back then in CRA, how would I describe this? Back then in CRA, every boss actually dropped equips. So the Queen dropped hats, and Von Bon dropped tops, so on and so forth. But more importantly was that the Sparkling Black Star Potion affected party members as well. So one person could use the Black Star Potion, and when the party kills the boss, every single instance loot had a chance to be unique. So what me and Simon did, and what a lot of whales and people who could solo or duo CRA and Empress and all those bosses back then, was that they would actually get people who and carry them, and in exchange for letting them keep their loot, because back then CRA was worth a lot of mesos because it was best in slot and all that. Basically the exchanges that, yes, the party leaders or the people carrying will bring you guys, but on an honor system, you guys have to give the unique equips to the party leader. And basically we did that, except I took that a bit further, and instead of just doing it on CRA and Magnus for the Tyrant Capes, because back then Tyrant Capes were also worth something back then, I did, like I said, the entire gauntlet. So Zakum, Horntail, Hilla, Ramaru, so on and so forth. I just did every single boss, and I remember being really stressed out over those runs because of the time constraint, because we weren't strong enough and the damage cap was 50 mil at the time. And then if I DC'd, then the Sparkling Black Star Potion was gone. And I remember some days we would actually buy the Black Star Potion from people in the FM or in the auction house, because it was that profitable to invest in a Sparkling Black Star Potion for the week, because the return was just significantly much more if you get lucky. So sometimes you won't get in any uniques, which sucks. Sometimes you'll get like 1 or 2, but more often than not you'll get like 15 items that are unique that you could sell, which greatly just pays off buying the Sparkling Black Star Potion. So that was season 2, Sparkling Black Star Potion. Like I said, guys, there was a lot of other things that I did, but like I'm just trying to showcase the main thing that made me the most meso with each season. So moving on to season 3, this was basically when things started getting weird because slowly but surely KMS was implementing their stuff into GMS, and GMS exclusive stuff was basically starting to get filtered out and stuff like that. And that was that's mainly the main point I want to mention, is that most of the things that I actually did to make Mesos was pretty much GMS exclusive or non-KMS exclusive. Sparkling Black Star Potion was not non-KMS exclusive from what I remember, but the CWKPQ and what I'm about to mention is. So when I found out, or when Anna was introduced to us, I was just like, no, because I knew that was basically the nail in the coffin for me to, get rich quick or just figure out these out-of-the-box schemes or whatever. I don't want to call them schemes, but that's basically what they were. I was just like maniacally laughing, going like, this will surely make me a lot of meso. But yeah, having that in the back of my mind, season 3 was a lot more weirder, just because it wasn't really, there wasn't a big secret thing. It was just more like a combination of moderate things that made me a good amount of meso. So I guess I could talk about it. So later on in season 3, when I joined Hard Boss Party, that was a big way to make meso. The main thing I want to talk about with the Hard Boss Party members is whenever we got a big drop, so any of the boss accessories, or when we had an arcane dagger or one-handed axe, or any of those very popular weapons, stuff that meso couldn't buy. When I joined my Hard Boss Party, I had to figure out something about it, because I knew that with Road to Max Damage and everything, that I wanted to be as transparent as possible, but at the same time, it's a gray area in Nexon's terms of service about this stuff. So what I figured out was, what, I'll just ask one of my party members to hold all my splits, and then that way there's no way I can influence the amounts that I get, or like pretend to fake anything, like just in case there was that criticism and there was that possibility. But I surely hope that 5 years of reputation is like a factor that you can consider, and for me to not lie about stuff. And I know I'm like dancing around the subject because I don't really want to explicitly talk about it for, my own sake. But moving on, that I just wanted to talk about that because that propelled a lot of the NX that I got from the past year or so. In terms of mesos, though, yeah, hard bosses did give me a good amount of mesos, but it was actually just ITCG. That was it. For those that know what those 4 letters mean, here's a veteran's badge for you, because, oh man, that stuff was old. But yeah, before the Phantom Forest got revamped, I ran ITCG exchange quests like nobody's business. Going back to the whole thing about Monopoly, I had it. I almost had it. I was like one of probably 2 or 3 people that did exchange quests for Face Stompers, Stormcasters, Crystal Leaf Earrings, Sturgemans. So the list goes on. I'm not going to talk about it, but the main things I made were Stormcasters and Face Stompers and Crystal Leaf Earrings, because after weeks and weeks of experimenting, I've determined that these were the most time efficient and effective things to sell for meso. But it didn't stop me from, going for Sturgemans here and there just because it was easy as well. So basically, you just collect a bunch of etc. items from monsters all around Phantom Forest and NLC and stuff like that, and you talk to a certain NPC and they have a chance to give you something good. Or alternatively, you can talk to Subani, and if you exchange with him certain amounts of etc. items and certain assortments of them, you get a recipe. And those were the recipes that I got, which were Face Stompers and Stormcasters and Crystal Leaf Earrings, like I said. And then I sold them. That was basically it. Exchange quests, I would say, were probably a third of my income back then, because the other thing that I did was Mulong Dojo meals, which you guys all know very well. And I guess the other thing I did was also like Golux service or scrolling Golux gear and reselling it. I mean, like I said, like season 3 was the weird one because I didn't have a central meso making method, so I sort of compensated it by having like a bunch of moderately powerful meso making methods. And also season 3, near the end of it, was when I became a Bean Brigade member, so that helped me a bit as well. And of course, with the Phantom Forest revamp, ITCG is no longer a thing, but some of the items that you used to be able to get with exchange quests are now available in Mo's shop for Raven coins, the silver ones. So if you want to grab some of those items, I suppose you can go and stop by there and pick some up. I mean, those are kind of nice to have. It's like a piece of history. So season 3 was a combination of hard bosses, dojo, and exchange quests and Golux and a lot of other things. It was great. I know this video was long, but throughout a 5-year journey, to summarize it in 30 minutes, I say that's pretty good, right? Hopefully with this video, it may have inspired you to try and come up with some way to make your own mesos. If not, I hope that this video was just a good one to listen to and hope you enjoyed the commentary. Now with season 4 though, with all these changes coming in with so many systems and Anna just completely killing all the GMS exclusive stuff. Well, I can't say that. We have Julieta and we have the revamped Phantom Forest and stuff like that, but not as effective as what I could have done before with all the GMS exclusive stuff. So season 4 is going to be pretty interesting to see what I can do to make my own meso. Will I share it with you guys? Who knows, but it's always fun to experiment with meso making method, and that's why I think I really like playing on regular servers, just because I really can't seem to bring myself. I don't like the idea of just sitting in front of my computer, just going around in a map killing monsters for hours on end. I like these problem-solving strategy thinking sort of things, so that's just why I stayed in regular server, and that's why I don't play Reboot. But yeah, with season 4 along the way, the journey is almost over, hopefully. Oh man, I'm so close and yet so far with my funding. Almost there. The goal is, as stated in the premiere of season 4, 5-line potential equips, 22 stars on equips that are applicable, so basically everything except for my Sengoku badge and my Outlaw Heart probably. And basically after that I'm gonna be maybe going for my Genesis weapon. And but as I've talked about in a previous Road to Max Damage episode, I'm trying to play less Maple. So part of the challenge of season 4 now is trying to figure out a meso making method that completely minimizes my time spent on the game, but also gets me the most amount of mesos. And I think the theme of season 4 for me is going to be about compromise, because I definitely can see myself not being able to make as much meso as before due to all the changes in the game and due to my changes in attitude about the game as well. So that's going to be interesting. Maybe I'll discuss meso making methods with the free-to-play committee club of GMS. That's not a real thing, by the way, I'm just joking. Anyways, this was fun. I haven't really done a freeform video where I just talk to my microphone for a period of time, but I hope you enjoyed it nonetheless and maybe give you a little bit of insight or inspiration to make mesos. I know I didn't exclusively tell you how to make meso, but I think more it's about the attitude about making meso that you should have more than the actual methods, because, you know, give a man a fish, you can feed him for a day, teach a man to fish and you could feed him for a lifetime. That's basically, whenever people ask me how to make meso, I usually go on about that teaching perspective. So anyone that I've actually talked to about making meso, I even in the comments before, people have said that like, oh, I loved your idea about this way of making meso, and I took that idea and I made it my own. And like, it's really exciting to see people who actually do that initiative, so I really appreciate it and I really am proud of those people. I'm proud of my fans for doing that. Anyways, that's going to be it from me today. I hope you enjoyed this video. I will see you guys next time with the next episode of Road to Max Damage, so I hope you enjoyed it. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.